Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about crochet and go through the basic stitches for everyone to have a go. I think definitely for me, crochet became a big part of my life about 4 years ago once I'd finished university, and I just needed something to do to take my mind off kind of the stress of work on an evening. Due to the current situation and everyone being at home, I definitely hope you find these videos helpful to have some fun and go at a new skill. These videos are hopefully going to be informative, and each kind of step that I go into, I'll put a description in the box below. Some people find it easier to read and some people find it easier to follow along with the videos. So I really hope you enjoy. If you have a go or you find it helpful, please put some comments in the box below. If there's anything else you think I should go into or would like me to go into in the next video, please definitely put a comment down. It's always nice to read and see what people say. I hope you enjoy. Hi everyone, so here is just a different arrangement of hooks. Today I would really kind of focus on just one. It doesn't really matter necessarily the size, but having one that's kind of big enough that you can kind of get used to the grip and tension, and when you're doing a stitch, going into the next stitch, a small hook is much more difficult. So today in all my kind of talks and go through kind of the basic stitches, I'm going to use a 5mm hook, which is also known as a G hook. These ones that I got from Hobbycraft, it came in a row of 5, were very good because they've got the easy grip. This stops kind of any kind of tension or kind of strain on your hands. But as you can see, I've got loads of the variety of ones that don't have grips, and I find it absolutely fine to use. So for kind of today's video, I wouldn't say you need to go and buy a specific hook. Any one that you can find, grab or borrow, definitely use that while we go through the stitches today. Okay, so for this video, I've just got any kind of wool that you can use is absolutely fine, and I've got my 5mm hook here. So just to start off with, we're going to talk about how to actually hold the yarn. So in terms of holding the yarn, I tend to just wrap it around my hands like so. In order to control the flow of the yarn to your hook, you need to lace it around the fingers in your free hand. So for me, I crochet with my right hand, so this is why I kind of feed it through on my left hand. So one of the methods they kind of advise in terms of crocheting is starting by winding the yarn around your little finger and then passing it under your 2 middle fingers, which I've done here, and then bring it over your forefinger. With this method, the forefinger is used to position the yarn. So just having a go to do that again. So I'll just wrap it round, wrap it over, wrap it under those 2 middle fingers and then leading it over. So it's kind of tightening when I lift up my hand here. So we can have a go there. Okay. Now we're going to make what they call a slip stitch. To make the first loop, which is called the slip knot on your needle, begin by crossing the yarn coming from the ball over the yarn end to form a circle. So just like so. Then we're going to insert our hook here, which goes through the middle of the circle. The end, which is away from the ball of wool, we are just going to push that under into the circle like so. So you're kind of left it looking like this. And then we're going to pull both ends to tighten, and this is called the slip knot. So make sure that the complete slip knot is tight enough for the hook so that it won't fall off when you're crocheting. So that's most important. So this is probably about the right tension. I'm just going to quickly go over the next holding the yarn technique. So method 1 is where we was using the yarn under the little finger and then over the first 2 fingers, but this is the one that I tend to use the most. So you've got your slip stitch knot that you've just done before, and in terms of holding the yarn, I'll just show you on this hand, but I tend to crochet and hold it on this hand, so just for easiness I'll do it this hand, is you wrap the wool under your little pinky, across the next finger, and then back over again with your middle finger there, so like this. That's the way I tend to use to hold it. So I'm just going to show you in terms of this side, so when you see the videos and I show the techniques, I tend to be crocheting a lot more kind of this way. So as I said, the first one you kind of wrap it under and then go over the first 2 fingers, where the second method you're wrapping it under and you're going over the middle finger, but still using this forefinger for tension. This will make a lot more sense as we go later into the video. Perfect, so now we can kind of feed the wool onto the hook. We're going to go into the different stitches. So the first stitch we're going to go into is called a chain stitch. Now the chain stitch is the first crochet stitch you need to learn because this forms the base of all other stitches. So sometimes in patterns it can be called the foundation chain. They are used in a combination of other basic stitches to create a vast array of crochet stitch patterns, both dense texture stitches and lacy ones. So I would definitely advise that you practice the chain stitch until you are comfortable holding the hook and releasing the tension on the yarn. So we're going to go into a chain stitch today. So to start with, we're going to feed the wool in terms of the slip knot that you've learnt before. So to start with, we're going to put our hand again within to kind of hold in terms of the tension, and we're going to start by with wrapping the wool around the hook like so, and then drawing the loop through the following hole, if that makes sense, like this. And that was your first chain stitch. So I'm going to do it again. So you wrap the wool around your hook and pull it through like so. So in terms of the tension, I would advise maybe being a little bit softer before. Don't be pulling this finger very hard, because as you can see it makes it really difficult to try and get into the hole then. And then if you're doing that, you want to try and get the same tension so that all the kind of stitches look the same. So we're going to wrap the hook under the wool and draw it through the hole. So as I say, we're going to just keep doing this. So as we say, so you keep going as long. And in terms of counting the stitches, this can be quite difficult as well. So I tend to use actually Kirby grips. You can get different kind of clips to mark, but for me, just to know which one would be our first stitch if we were ever asked to crochet into the first one, is this one here. So for me, that helps, and when we go through later on in patterns, it's actually crocheting into the middle there. So that's our first stitch. So another way of just doing a simple slip stitch, although it is good practice to get holding the hook and leading the tension with this hand, you can also just wrap the wool around the hook and bead through this way. I think I'm just showing pretty much the other hand, but it does slightly look different. So you're kind of pulling the tension of the wool with this one. So you wrap the wool around the hook and pull through like so. So whichever way you feel comfortable with, just get used to the tension. So we're going to do a few of these and then move on to the next stitch. So you've got a nice chain. Can you see? Like so. So the next stitch we're going to go into is the slip stitch. Now the slip stitch is the shortest of all crochet stitches. Although they can work in rows, the resulting fabric is so dense that it is only suitable for bag handles. However, slip stitches appear very frequently in crochet instructions. To join a new yarn, to work invisibly along the top row, to move a new position, and to join around a circular crochet, which we'll go kind of through then. So what a slip stitch is we've made the foundation chain like I explained before. Now to begin the slip stitch, you're going to insert the hook into the chain. So if we go in pretty much into the next chain along, can you see it's just going into that hole there? And that's why it's important not to have it too tight, because it can be very difficult then to go in. So we're going to go into the next chain along. We're going to wrap the wool around and feed it through both ones. So I'm just going to go through that again. You're going to put your hook into the next stitch along, wrap the wool round and bring them both through like so. So I'll do that one more time. You're going to go into the next hole along, wrap the wool round and comb through both holes. In terms of with the forefingers and the tension, that's what's really going to help. So you're not going to wrap the wool around before, it's having to actually feed into the next stitch, wrap the wool around and feed through then. So if I was doing that on this side, the other hand, you're going to feed it through, wrap it around and bring it through like so. So we're going to learn the next stitch. So in order to do that, we're just going to pull away. So this is how you get rid of a stitch if you feel you've done it wrong. You just slightly pull it away until it unravels and you're back to your foundation chain here. So I'm just going to insert my hook in here. And we can go from there. So the next stitch we're going to learn is one of my favourite stitches, and that is the double crochet. The double crochet is the easiest stitch to learn, which is probably why it's one of my favourites, and it's probably the most frequent one you'll find that you will kind of use. So take your time learning and practicing this stitch, because once you become kind of happy with it, you can tailor it and use it in so many different patterns. So in order that we're going to start this double crochet, we have our foundation stitch. We're going to go into the next. I'm just going to say it's quite often that they will say in patterns to leave 3 chains, so 1, 2, 3, and go into the next chain. So that's what I want you to practice. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go into this 4th one here. So your hook's going to have gone into the chain. We're going to wrap over, pull through, and wrap over again. And there we have our double crochet. So I'll go into the next chain along, which is this one here. So we've been just into that one, so now we're going into the next one along. We're going to wrap the wool over, pull through, wrap it over again, and pull through there. So we're just going to practice doing a few. So this is kind of not the lazy way, but the way I kind of taught myself to. So we're going to go into the next chain, wrap over, so it's like so, and hold it then. So if we were holding the tension in that hand, we are going into the next one, so you would push your chain in there, wrap over, and wrap over. Treble crochet. So this half treble crochet is like the double crochet, but is a little bit denser, and because it's denser it produces a slightly softer texture. This crochet stitch you often see in quite a lot of things like baby garments, so we're going to go through that now. So as I did before, I want you to pull back or start with a foundation chain. So this is a lot of single chains here. So you're going to start off by inserting your hook into the first chain, and unlike the double crochet, you're going to wrap the wool round before you enter the chain. So as I said, often they recommend that you start kind of the 4th chain in. So we're going to count again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to go into this section here. What you're going to do is wrap the wool around your hook and pull through this hole, so you'll have 3 chains on your hook, and then you're going to wrap the wool round again and then go through all 3 chains. So we're just going to do that again. So you're going to wrap the wool round your hook, pull it through the next chain. So if you're making these chains too tight, then it's difficult to get in. So that's one of the things why when we talk about tension. So you're going to wrap the wool round again, pull through, and then go through all 3 there. So I'm just going to do that again. Going to, wrap the wool round, enter the chain next, wrap your wool round, come through the first chain, so you'll have 3 chains on your hook, wrap the wool round and go through all 3 chains like so. So just have a good go at doing these. And there we have all half treble crochets. So we've mastered the double crochet and the half treble crochet, and now we're on to my final stitch for this video, which is the treble crochet. So the treble crochet produces a much more open and softer stitch because it's taller than the other two. So this is one of the most popular stitches that you will see in patterns. So let's just jump ahead to this section. Right, so as before, pull out your previous stitches to get back down to this foundation chain. You always, through this whole video, I've just used this tiny bit of wool just to make sure that you're not using up any wool that's unnecessarily. Right, so let's get into it. So we're going to do the same as what we did previously and put the hook on the, bead the hook on the kind of foundation chain. So like the treble crochet, you're going to wrap the wool around the hook. We're going to crochet into our fourth stitch, so it 1, 2, 3, 4, so into our fourth chain, like so. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 3 loops on the hook, but unlike the half treble crochet, with the treble crochet, we're going to wrap the wool round and only go through the first 2 loops. So 1, 2, and then we're going to wrap the wool round again and go through the last 2. 1, 2, like so. So I'm just going to go through this again so that you can see and make sure. So you wrap the wool round, you go into the next chain, wrap the wool round, go through the first 2, 1, 2, wrap the wool round and go into the last 2, 1, 2. So wrap the wool round, go into the next chain, wrap the wool round, 3 loops on your crochet hook, wrap the wool round, first 2, wrap the wool round, first 2. So I'm just going to do this quicker so that you can see what it looks like. So wrap the wool round, into the chain, wrap the wool round. Again, the main thing you're focusing on is the tension, not pulling this wool too hard to make the stitch tighter. You want an even spread of tension to make sure that all the triple crochets are the same kind of length stitch, as you can see here. So that is your final stitch, the triple crochet.